So they say AI is going to take over jobs and disrupt the world in ways that we can't even begin to imagine right now. But the biggest threat to our professions isn't AI. It's another voice entirely. This voice is so persuasive and imperceptible that it can easily convince you to doubt yourself, to play small, and hold yourself back from sharing all the ways that make you you. So I'm talking about the voice of your inner critic. We are living in a time where it's more important than ever to start leaning into what makes you unique. But if the voice inside your head is consistently spreading fearful thoughts, then you're likely going to hide the very things that make you irreplaceable. In this episode of the Resonate podcast, we're going to talk about how you can AI proof your voice. And at the end, I'm going to show you a simple technique that will help you override the voice of your inner critic so that you don't get stuck in a fear loop during these changing and unpredictable times. The other day I was listening to Spotify when a song came on that really caught my attention. It was catchy and the singer had a great voice, and my background as a voice coach kicked in. So I started studying the song. But the more I listened, the more something felt off. For example, the breath points in the phrasing just didn't make any sense at all. The singer would have these unnecessarily long phrases with just these tiny little sips of breath in between. So I went to Google search the artist to see if I could find a live version of her singing the song, and I couldn't find her. What I did find were other people posting comments that she wasn't real. She was an AI-generated artist. Now, I've heard AI music before, but it wasn't any good. This song was good. I mean, part of me knew this was bound to happen at some point, but knowing that something is about to happen and then witnessing it actually happening are two very different experiences. And so this really got me thinking. The reality of today is that we are living in a world where AI is moving so fast that more and more of what we can do can now be outsourced to a machine. Matt Shumer is an entrepreneur and investor who is deeply embedded in the tech industry. He published an article on February 9th, 2026, which I will link in the description. Now, Shumer is someone who is witnessing firsthand the transition of AI from being a helpful tool to a system that's capable of performing the technical work of his own job. Now, what he says is pretty illuminating. He believes that we are in a deceptive, quiet phase of AI, similar to the weeks before the COVID-19 pandemic. Remember when people were saying things like, oh, it's just a flu, it'll be fine. And of course, we all know how that turned out. Now, when it comes to the development of AI, Shumer is predicting that life is about to rearrange itself in ways most of us can't even comprehend. He's saying we've reached a critical turning point where AI is now building its own next generation. So this means we are going to be witnessing a huge intelligence explosion leading to systems that could be smarter than most humans within this year or next year. Let's just let that sink in for a minute. Now, if what he's saying is true, and there's a chance that AI will eventually be capable of replacing most human jobs, then it would make sense to consider whether the technical skills we've worked so hard to acquire and refine will even have the same level of value a few years from now. So let me put it this way. If my technical skills can be rendered less valuable in a few years from now, then those skills aren't my competitive advantage anymore. My competitive advantage can't just be about what I know. It has to be about who I am. And this is why I believe that your voice is your most valuable asset. I don't mean the sound of your voice, because we already know that AI can actually replicate with scary accuracy the sound of your voice. I'm talking about the way you use your voice to share your lived experiences, your learned perspectives, your values, your energetic presence, and your unique set of gifts. Because the specific combination of circumstances and experiences that have led you to where you are now is the one thing that cannot be replicated. To put this more into context, it means not just doing the work, but being clear and vocal about why you do what you do. It means sharing the vision of what you're building, not just the details of the service you are offering. It means having the courage to be seen and heard, even if you mess up and even if you make mistakes in front of thousands of people. It means speaking up to share a perspective that isn't the standard answer, or doing something against the norm because you feel strongly about it. Now, all of this is about moving from being someone who's a skilled doer to being a thought leader in your own life. But here's the problem. Speaking your truth in this way and being seen and heard and leaning into what makes you unique is a deeply vulnerable experience because you risk being judged, you risk being misunderstood, or you risk being wrong. This is why I say that our biggest threat isn't AI, it's our inner critic. This is the voice that gives you 1,000 seemingly logical reasons to keep your head down and stay small. It makes you question yourself, and it says you're not good enough, not smart enough, not ready enough, not whatever enough, so you'd better play it safe and blend into the background. So here's something that's really interesting that I learned from being a voice coach. Your brain and your physical voice are connected by the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the longest and most complex of the cranial nerves. It runs from the brainstem all the way down your body, passing through almost every major organ in between. And now, this nerve branches directly into your voice box, and its job is to scan for danger and report back information to your brain. So, when you tell yourself a scary story like, if I speak up, I'll be judged, your brain treats that thought as a physical threat, and it triggers a survival reflex that literally tightens the reins on your voice box. And so this is why when you're about to say something or do something important but potentially risky, your voice, your throat feels tight, your breath gets shallow, and your voice might even shake or sound squeezed. Your inner critic is literally using your own biology to keep you quiet so that it can keep you safe. But in a world being reshaped by AI, staying quiet and blending into the background actually puts you at risk. So what can we do about our inner critic? It's not like it's a switch we can turn off. The goal isn't to stop our thoughts, but to notice the nature of them by observing how these thoughts make us feel. So when your thoughts make you want to contract or to shrink or to doubt yourself or undervalue yourself, that's your inner critic speaking to you. And once you notice the inner critic, the next step is just to call it out and stop treating what it tells you as absolute truth. Think of it this way. Your inner critic is not an enemy to be fought. It's a reflex to be managed. Here's a simple technique to help you override the voice of your inner critic. I call it the story reframe. When you hear the inner critic say something that makes you doubt yourself, like, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve that, or I have nothing unique to offer, I want you to pause. And I want you to say out loud, if you can, the story I'm telling myself right now is that I'm not good enough, or I don't deserve that, or I don't have anything unique to offer. And I wonder if you can feel that difference. When you allow your thoughts to stay on, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve that, you allow the thought to come across as an unopposed fact. But when you say, the story I'm telling myself right now, followed by the thought you're thinking, you create distance, which allows you to observe the thought more objectively. Now, the next part of this technique is key. I want you to take a few deep, slow breaths and calmly but firmly tell yourself, the truth is, I am safe, I am capable, and I trust myself. what you're doing is you're calming your nervous system by sending it a new signal. So you're saying, you know what, thank you for trying to protect me, but I'm safe and I've got this. And then from that regulated place, you can choose your next move more consciously, not because you're fearless, but because you're choosing to step into the leading role of your own life. So here's my invitation to you. Notice when your throat tightens, when your voice feels small, when you feel yourself holding back or shrinking. And then ask yourself, what story am I telling myself right now? And then run through the story reframe technique. So the story I'm telling myself right now is, followed by the thought you're thinking. Then take a few deep, slow breaths and say to yourself, the truth is, I am safe, I am capable, and I trust myself. Remember, you have authority over your own internal narration, and you deserve to live a life that feels expansive and authentic because you are unique and you are irreplaceable. Now, if this episode helped you, I'd love for you to follow or subscribe to the show and share it with somebody whose voice you want to hear more of. I'll see you in the next episode.